Good morning, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. And we're doing our bi-weekly For the Record St. Albans Today show, and happy to have St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith.
Hello, Richard.
And St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman Brendan Deso. Morning, folks. Good to see you. And again, I should note, I guess we're taping this show on Wednesday morning, Feb 17. Boy, I guess you're maybe battling getting into your cars this morning a bit. Latest snow, a pretty serious winter around here for the last month. Although the last storm, not as much snow as forecast, but still 4 inches or so of just really heavy snow. How's the city holding up with winter, Tim, so far?
Well, as you can guess, Richard, it started off with things were good with the budget.
Pretty soft start.
Yeah, up till early January, I guess. But since then, they've been pushed to their limits. You know, with the issue becomes when you get that 1 or 2 inch storm.
Yeah.
You still have to treat it. You're almost better off having a larger storm and then those 3 or 4 small storms throughout the week.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to keep up. So, but I know they're out. I saw them out again last night around 8, plowing, getting caught up.
Yeah.
Sidewalk plows are out. You know, the one thing I would just share with folks is, I think the expectation is that sidewalks are going to be bare to the concrete, and we just ask people to be patient. I mean, we plow 27 miles of sidewalk, and it's not going to be to the to the pavement or the concrete. So, be patient. You know, let them do their job, and we'll get through this.
Yeah, Brendan, how's the town faring with winter?
Really well. The salt shed, we're still using the one in Georgia Shore Road, so that's probably our only logistical problem at the moment. But the new shed on Brigham Road is complete. Just need to do some paving in the spring, and we'll be ready to use that for next winter. But other than that, the new garage is working beautifully. The wash bay is a lifesaver. Our equipment looks better than it normally does this time of the year. You know, we can't thank our voters enough for allowing us to tax the local option tax to pay for that project. And you know, we want to remind people that your ballots should have been out in the mail. We mailed them last week. A lot of folks got them Saturday and yesterday and Monday. So please feel free to return them in the mail. Drop them at the town clerk's office. You can bring them to Collins Pearly and drop them off the day of the election. Defeats the purpose a little bit, but if that's what you'd like to do, to hand it directly to the clerk, that's more than fine.
And people can, if they don't for whatever reason fill out their ballot, can go to Collins Pearly 7 to 7 Tuesday, March 2nd, and vote in person.
Absolutely. So we'll have it set up the same as we had it for the November general election. Went very well. Our whole administrative staff and everybody in the clerk's office worked for 4 or 5 days consecutively to get ballots ready to be mailed. We're applying to have our costs reimbursed by the state related to the universal mailing ballots. You know, we felt pretty fortunate. Thursday afternoon, we were on a call with the Department of Health and Dr. Levine about the COVID in Franklin County being on the rise, particularly in northeastern communities, northeast corner of the county. You know, we just want to remind people that the light's at the end of the tunnel. I just was able to schedule my grandfather, who's 72 years old, for his vaccine, first dose yesterday. He's going into the Congress in Maine NMC vaccine clinic next Wednesday. So we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you know, just keep your heads up, on a swivel. We're getting through it. We're not even at the 1-year anniversary yet. And we're already delivering a vaccine that, you know, 50 years ago would have taken probably 2 to 5 years to manufacture and distribute. So we're ahead of the game, but, you know, let's stay vigilant, stay safe, and, you know, check on your elderly neighbors, particularly in this cold. And if you have a phone number for them, give them a call, because everybody could use some companionship in this time.
Yep, good words. Of course, your fellow board member, Erin Creeley, is director of the health department's local office.
Yeah, Erin's been a godsend for us to have. You know, she got on the board right before the pandemic broke out. She got hired to work for the Department of Health last year. She's also a hospital board member at NMC. She's a director. So our organization, our board members are much more plugged into the community than they had been in years past, from my perspective. You know, we hired a sitting state senator to serve as our director of operations. Our town manager sits on a VLCT, unemployment insurance board. So we're trying to be very well connected to, you know, to stay abreast of any grant funding opportunities. You know, our big vision for the bay is going to require a lot of grant funding to get that boat launch in at the Old Town Garage property, and to extend the sidewalk from the new town hall all the way to Bay Park. So we're actively working with the state, and it quite honestly, and I know the city has the same thing with Representative McCarthy serving on the council in some respects. Having Senator Parent serving as our director of operations, sitting in committee meetings with you know, Vermont Fish and Wildlife, you know, his key primary objective as a senator was to help find $1 million for the Highgate Airport expansion to help, you know, that part of the county. So granted, he didn't put 100% of his political capital into working for the town, but it's nice to be able to be tapped into this grant opportunity's coming, this agency's asking for this money, and it needs to show a need, so we're getting our project in to help them with their justifications. It's working out very well. You know, things are moving ahead at a really good clip for us.
We'll get back to town meeting day. Tim, sort of a big issue, and I know you've given this some attention. And again, you're the one, I hadn't even heard about this. You mentioned this a month and a half ago about the water main break or water line break at the USCIS, U.S. Customs and Immigration Services building that had hurt them. And then it turns out became a big issue with, what, about 200 local employees being shipped, at least temporarily, to Essex because of that situation. And are we going to see them coming back? I know you've looked into that.
Too early to say whether they're coming back.
Really?
I think some of the key language is until further notice.
Which is a little more than a little scary, huh?
Yeah, I know that Senator Leahy's office is having a call with Homeland Security this week. I think it's today, actually. Huh. So we'll know more after that. The other piece of that pub, not just people working, being displaced, but you also had a child care facility called Wise Time that had about 40 kids in it or more, and they were displaced as well, and we were able to locate, put them in the former CCV building. And that transition happened a week after the water break, so that we were fortunate to have that vacant space. The issue is that that cleanup, which I don't understand why it's taking so long, but they're going to be out of space until, from what I've heard, June.
Really?
And we are going to begin renovating the CCV building for the police station here in early April. So we need to find another home for them until their space gets renovated and up and running. We're looking at a couple different options. So that's where, you know, I would say that water break caused issues were twofold. One was the displacement of the workers, and then of the child care facility as well.
Wow, that's tough. So again, work on the former CCV building, future home of St. Albans PD in April, not too far away. Not too far,
yeah. They've been doing the design work and layout, and working with an architect and engineer to figure out what needs to be done. But they're going to be doing demolition here come early April.
When is there a time frame? Would you hope new PD would be in there by the end of the year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're phasing the renovation, so we're focused on more of the holding cell and police, the police car garage and that type of stuff, as well as dispatch. So that's a focus for the first phase, and that I believe would be available by December.
Yeah. Interesting. While I think of it, I've been doing a lot of shows with contested races for town meeting day. On an earlier show, I made a reference to city PD. In fact, I interviewed Kate Lattison, the Ward 5 city councilor, being challenged by Bob Farrow, the former longtime city attorney. And in that show, talked about police department, made a reference to the police chief, and totally spacing out, I called the good chief Maurice Mo Lamont. I think I identified him as Maurice Mo Montcalm. Thinking back, I think I confused that with a long ago Georgia selectman. But in any case, I apologize to the chief if he hears that, and I suspect he might say he's been called worse, but totally spaced out. But anyway, but Chief Lamont, of course, significant time. I mean, a very kind of busy time for the police department, kind of a downsizing time. And is that with the sheriff's department set to take over coverage in the town July 1st? And I know you're hoping to mostly downsize through attrition. Is that worked out pretty much that way, Tom?
That's the hope. I haven't heard what the numbers are, Richard.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we'll end up with 12 uniform officers. And then there'll be some relocation in terms of positioning until we hit that attrition mark. But I haven't heard what the numbers are right now.
Right. And the city still has Highgate. Is that Highgate is that through June 30, or how long is the Highgate contract that the city has?
Through June 30th.
June 30? Will the city continue? Will the city try to keep that?
I think so. We haven't really fully discussed that, but it's gone well. I think Highgate's happy with the service, so yeah. I think we will continue to do that.
Right. So again, the one contested race in the city on annual city meeting, again, Ward 5 City Council incumbent Kate Lattison, Bob Farrow. The challenger, Ward 6, Chad Spooner, the City Council President, running unopposed for re-election. So no contest in the city. Obviously, the budget always comes up for vote. I guess about a $10 million budget, and I guess probably the issue getting the most attention, the community swimming pool, proposed $5 million project. What's your feel? Of course, it passed in the city a year ago when town voters narrowly defeated it.
Yeah, I mean, two things. It passed overwhelmingly on the city side when we did the combined project. I think that interest is still there. I've heard from a number of people who have said they are thankful that we have chosen to pursue the year-round pool. There would have been a number of people were in opposition to the fact that it would have been a seasonal pool. And for $1 million more, $1.1 million, I think people see the fact that it's that extra $1 million is well invested to get that additional 8 months of use out of the pool. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of aspects to the new pool that's going to increase usage. You know, the zero entry is huge for people who may not feel comfortable swimming but can at least go with children or grandchildren. You know, many versatile uses at the same time: swim team, public swim, swim lessons. So we're looking forward to it. We think I'm optimistic. I think it will pass. You know, if you go up to Hardack on a weekend now with the rope tow open and sliding,
cross-country
skiing, snowshoeing, you know, the atmosphere is unbelievable. You know, the Greg Brown Lodge turned out beautifully. You know, we're not using it because of COVID, but when that day comes, I mean, it's the setting is just unbelievable. I mean, you've got the dog park. You just have so many aspects to recreation, and even more so once the pool's there. So it could be a great asset for the region for sure. Yeah.
Brendan, number of issues in the town. I guess town hall issues probably perhaps topping the agenda, but hoping for obviously a favorable vote on a new town hall that would be funded, correct me if I'm wrong, entirely by LOT, local option taxes, no property tax hit?
No property tax increase to pay for it. We're proposing to use around $2 million in cash on hand with some impact fee money that we've saved over time, and some local option tax payments to be received between now and February next year. We just received a quarterly payment yesterday, a quarterly payment of $259,000 and change. We're proposing to fund the balance of the construction costs with a $2.5 million note for a 15-year term at a 3% interest rate, which creates an annual debt cost of around $208,000. per year. So we're basically saying we want to pay about half in cash, finance the balance, and then use the local option tax, about 1/4 of it per year, a little less than what we average in a quarter per year, to pay that payment. And then in 15 years, we won't owe a nickel on it. It's designed with regular maintenance to last us 50 to 75 years worth of employee growth. Just to compare it to the current town hall, the proposed building to the current town hall, if we were to renovate all 3 floors of the current town hall, we'd have about 9,500 square feet to work with, and the boardroom would be in the basement. This current proposed building is about 13,000 square feet, all one level, with a conference room on the ground floor for 48 people to serve as a pretty good-sized boardroom. And we actually built in an overflow capacity feature for the boardroom that has a sliding wall, kind of like what you see at the Legion, so that we can extend seating into our lobby area. So we're trying to turn it into a community space that's also functional for staff. I know a lot of people say that we spent $4.2 million on the new public works facility and the town hall is fine. The town hall is only fine if you're never in it. If you have to go to it even once a month, you'd be pretty quick to reconcile with the fact that we need a new one. Our staff upstairs, for instance, this time of year have to have space heaters in their office because the HVAC system wasn't equipped to handle heating those confined spaces, because we've really hacked that old schoolhouse up into several different spaces that and not upgraded the utilities as we've gone. And that's really also evident when in the summer they have vented air conditioning units in each office, costing us a fortune in electricity. And if they use the microwave or the coffee maker in their kitchenette at the same time they have an air conditioner on, they've got to go down to the basement to reset a breaker, because our circuits are inadequate for the use that we have. It would cost, if I had to put a rough guess on it, between $2.5 and $3 million to renovate the current town hall. We're proposing this new building for $4.5 million. It gets us extra square footage. If we were to spend that $2.5 to $3 million on renovating the current town hall, 20 years from now, it would be tight. We'd probably be looking at some type of an expansion or building a secondary office setting somewhere else, to maybe put some administrative staffers in. So we're looking to do something that gets us the largest bang for our buck, that keeps our municipal offices seated in the Bay Area. And we really, we asked 4 questions across 2 elections last year that led to this. So this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision that came out of nowhere. We asked, do you want the town hall to stay in the Bay? Voters said yes by a margin of, I think, 1,500 to 400 people roughly. We asked, will you give us $65,000 to start engineering a concept for a new building? They said yes. We came back in November with that engineered concept. We found a 5+ acre lot of land in the Bay Area right next to the Public Works garage across from Wharf Street. We said, can we have $200,000 out of previously collected local option tax funds to pay cash for that? And can we spend another $200,000 to engineer this building completely and to engineer the site to be home for it? And they said yes. So we've, if you talk to our design team that we hired for that $200,000, they're pretty amazed at the clip that we've moved at as a municipality, from just having a conceptual plan in November to having almost a shovel-ready design. It is shovel-ready, and it's been costed by experts. And we finalized that at the end of January. So really, in about 2 months' time, we hired on about 3 to 4 different firms. We conducted environmentals. It's very important for people to know, just with the history of that 5-acre lot, we conducted a phase 1 and 2 environmental site assessment that came back totally clean. We've done our homework. The design of the building doesn't have very many thrills. It focuses on needs over wants. And, we're hoping that folks vote for it. It's Article 4. It's the only article that we placed on the ballot that wasn't required. It's our only ask this year. The town decided in the pandemic that we were going to focus solely on needs over wants in 2020 and 2021, and that's what we've done.
The building, when are you looking to have a new town hall ready for occupancy?
So there's some caveats there. We learn more every day. Of course, the schedule is moving along so quickly with our engineering process. We had a boring geotechnical analysis done on that site that showed us exactly what kind of clay we were dealing with. And it seems to be that we have two options as a result of that test. We can pay a pretty good amount of money for a lightweight concrete product, or we can strip the topsoil, bring in all our aggregate, and let it sit for a couple months, up to a couple months, to let that site be preloaded with all that extra weight and let the ground settle before we put the footings in for the building. I think we're going to go that route since it saves us money. But I don't dare put a ribbon cutting date on it. Our goal is by spring of 2022. We'd like to have the informational meeting for Town Meeting Day 2022 in the new building. But with pandemic pricing increases, if there's shortages on materials, that could definitely slow us down.
But presumably 2022 at some point.
Definitely. I mean, it could be as soon as late in the winter, early in the spring. It could be as late as, late summer, early fall, depending on how it all works out. But
Anybody making any noise about doing something with your current town hall?
Well, always. I mean, my grandfather went to grades 1 through 3 in the building. I get a great amount of pride every time I walk into it, just like most of our residents. That space, it needs to be turned into either a community center and the upstairs auditorium turned back into like a bliss room style setting to host business luncheons, small familial gatherings, birthday parties, anniversary parties, or we've got to work with either a local nonprofit or a private business to find a solution for it that our voters would accept, that brings working people into the Bay every day. So we either have to use it as an economic development tool or as a community resource, one or the other. We have absolutely, I can tell you the only thing we've done so far is I reached out to one local nonprofit and offered it to them for $1 in exchange for them upgrading it and making sure that they would seat their nonprofit, which is a nonprofit that's very important to the county, there for the long term. That was rejected. So we're actively looking for things to do. If anybody's got any helpful suggestions, or if there's any business owner out there that sees a future for that building that we're not quite looking at, give us a call.
Brendan, I should note you're a candidate for re-election, running for a 2-year term unopposed. Brian Delorier running unopposed for a 3-year term. Stan Dukas, the other incumbent, not running for re-election.
Yeah, we're hoping to keep Stanley around. Tonight, we're going to formally appoint him to stay on the Town Hall Building Committee. So if it passes, he'll continue serving us in that capacity since he's been one of the 2 selectmen representing us on that committee since it was formed. I'm also going to ask him to work with our Director of Public Works, Alan Mascher, to build a strategy for, we have about $80,000 on hand to upgrade the Stonehouse. I've asked Alan, and the board approved spending all that money as soon as possible to help local trades have some work and to get that building upgraded as quickly as we can. Stan's father actually helped build the building as part of the Conservation Corps.
Really?
So we thought it'd be incredibly fitting to ask Stan to work with Alan in that capacity, just as a community member, to provide some insight into maybe some history. Alan's excited about the opportunity to continue working with Stan, and I'm sure Stan would be happy to accept it. So I'm also looking to appoint Stan as town agent. A town agent is largely a symbolic role, but it allows us to invite him into executive sessions to discuss legal matters and to receive his perspective and guidance. So the whole board tried to convince him to stay on for another couple of years. He said he was just ready for a younger person to take his seat. Brian Delorier stepped up. Stan and I both endorsed him. It's neat to see Brian and I both run unopposed, especially when you look in other neighboring communities that have really, you know better than anybody.
How about Swanton? 4 contested races. I don't think I've ever run into that before in my many years up here.
So,
anyway. And I also should note Anna Borden, my old radio colleague, running unopposed for another, I think, 3-year term for clerk and treasurer.
Anna Borden has proved time and time again that she is an absolute asset to our residents and to our organization. She did it again last week in helping lead the charge for universal mail-in ballots for town meeting day. She ran three wonderful elections last year, 2 of which were in a pandemic. Being able to work with her is an absolute privilege.
Yeah. Tim, back to you.
I just one clarification.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say, Brendan, that the new town hall will have a bar just like the American Legion? Is that what you said?
Oh, absolutely. We've got a conference room built in behind the conference room. We're gonna call it executive session.
There you go.
That's the name of the bar. But
Sorry, Richard.
Tim, LOT, did you get your first local option tax figures?
No, I heard Brendan say that. I have not been made aware of what
Sounds
that
like
is yet.
maybe close to
Yeah,
getting that.
I have a call with the city manager today, so that'll be one of my first questions.
Right.
And I'm looking at, that they would generate if that held true for the whole year, that's $1 million for the town.
Yeah.
I think our goal would be if we got 150 in the first quarter,
Yeah.
or
this should
something.
be your largest quarterly payment of the year. It covers you from about mid-February to mid-November to early February. So it's always our largest.
Yeah,
And again, that's how the city is looking to fund the community swimming pool.
exactly.
So it'll be nice to get, again, that went into effect in the city, I guess, on October 1st.
October 1st.
The
Yeah.
apartment building across from the library, are they getting close to finishing the second apartment building? I see.
Still have a little ways to go.
Yeah.
Last week, we did have a conversation on a different topic with Michael Monty, who's the president of the Champlain Housing Trust. And,
Right, taking over from my old friend Brenda Torpy, I think.
yes, exactly, yep. And he actually said they were pleasantly surprised at how well those apartments are doing in filling up. The ones to the north, not the ones you're referring to, but
Okay.
their management team is very pleased with how those apartments have been received and the number of applicants they've had for them. So he did say there was some skepticism going into the project, but he is very happy with what the current condition is of applicants and filling those apartments. So
Interesting. Skepticism that they might not even be, that there might not be
they weren't
enough
sure what the
demand?
demand was.
Really?
Before you've got 60 coming online where you had 25 there before. I'm not sure if just the surplus that we have of affordable housing could have played into that thought as well.
Yeah.
Because we do have a number of different projects throughout the city and town. But they were pleased, so that was great news for us.
That's great. Down to just about a minute and a half. I noticed on the police log in the messenger, trucks still showing up on Upper Weldon Street once in a while.
It's a tough battle. I mean, we've got signage up. We've contacted GPS companies to change their directions, but if a truck's going to go down and they're going to get caught, there's been some hefty fines, $5,000-$6,000 for some of those.
Oh.
And hopefully, we've been working on that for 2 or 3 years with no real solution. I mean, we've tried everything, but you have a number of people that still want to. They follow their GPS like it's a Bible, and
Right.
And I don't understand why you wouldn't just go down the access road, which makes it that much easier. But
Right.
so yes, we're still fighting that battle, Richard.
Yeah, annual city meeting again for folks who don't vote ahead of time. They can show up at City Hall on Tuesday, March 2nd, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Or they can request a ballot, and we can mail it out to them. There will be a ballot box drop-off box out in front of City Hall. So for those who might have a hard time with the steps, they can just drop it in the box, and we'll go from there.
Right, but okay to vote in person for people like
For
me
sure.
who like
Yep.
to do that.
Yep.
Very good. That's going to do it. Thanks to St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith, Brendan Deso, the Select Board Chairman in St. Albans Town. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. And again, Town Meeting Day coming up. This will be the last show before Town Meeting Day. Hopefully we'll see you with these folks the day after Town Meeting Day. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Thanks for watching Northwest Access TV.